Dragons breathing fire, legends told, phoenix rising, bright and bold. It's Mythical Monday, come and learn with me. Creatures so wild, so hard to believe. From mermaids swimming in the deep blue sea, to fairies dancing, it's a mystery.
Salutations everyone, and welcome to today's Mythical Monday. Unfortunately, Jessie had to take a moment away to deal with some personal stuff, but at the last minute she hired her good friend Puppy to fill in and make sure a video went out today. Having fun editing the Samo Diva episode last week, I was more than happy to jump in and give it a good old English try. So I'll start by sending my best wishes to Jessie and hope she's back with us very soon, and without further ado, I'm gonna get on with the episode I was tasked with bringing you on such short notice, and that is a video on sirens. With their earliest roots thought to be in Middle Eastern mythology around a millennium before Christ, sirens were said to be a human female from the waist up, whilst having the body of a bird from the waist down. The description of sirens would evolve as the myth travelled further west, with accounts depicting them having the body of a human from the waist up and a fish from the waist down, not too dissimilar from a mermaid. Most stories tell of sirens singing songs that mesmerise sailors, luring seafarers to a deep, watery grave. Arguably, the most famous tale concerning the sirens is that of the Odyssey, penned by the ancient Greek poet Homer. In his legendary saga, we, the reader, follow the journey of Greek hero Odysseus as he plots his course home after masterminding the downfall of Troy. Homer explains to us how by angering the gods with his actions in Troy, our protagonist was blown heavily off course. What was supposed to be a 10-day journey home became 10 long years. During this period of time, completely lost in the nautical wilderness of the sea, Odysseus and his men were set upon by many an enemy. Eventually, they were enticed to shore by a powerful goddess/sorcerer named Circe. After managing to essentially deceive Circe into helping and advising his crew, she is said to have warned Odysseus about the sirens and the dangerous song, which she knew could bewitch sailors and cause them to crash their ships on the rocks. Odysseus' plan, guided by Circe's advice, was to have his crew plug their ears with beeswax to prevent them from hearing the siren's song. He also ordered his men to tie him to the ship's mast, ensuring he could hear the song, but not steer the ship towards the Sirens' island. As Odysseus' ship sailed past the island of Sirens, his crew, with their ears plugged, was safe from the song's allure. Odysseus, bound to the mast, was able to hear the song, and despite growing hungry for the Sirens' embrace, he remained on course, guided by his crew's efforts. Any siren who tried their luck and got too close would have had their fish-like lower bodies cut away and thrown back into the water from which they came, their upper half to be tossed in thereafter, ensuring a torturous, drowning death. It's not entirely clear when exactly sirens entered the scope of Greek mythology, but we do know that Homer himself lived around the 8th century BC. Another great old tale that hints further into the history of the siren is that of Persephone. In Greek mythology, Persephone is the daughter of the king of the gods, Zeus, and his wife Demeter. She was abducted by Hades and made queen of the underworld, a story that explains the changing of the seasons. In some versions of this myth, the sirens were depicted as originally being the beautiful handmaidens of Persephone. When she was taken, Demeter, her mother and goddess of agriculture and fertility, was distraught. She searched desperately night and day for her daughter, and when she finally admitted failure, she sought help from the sirens, who were given wings to aid in their search. though another more sinister version of the story sees the sirens disfigured and turned into bird women by Demeter as punishment for failing to protect her daughter. In some more sinister accounts of their transformation, we see theorized that sirens may have been cursed to live only until one survived their song, upon which they'd commit suicide once they realized that their song had no power over a mortal. It is, however, worth pointing out that by around the 5th century before Christ, stories almost exclusively depict the siren's human half as being female. In around 40 BC, the Roman poet Ovid wrote about the sirens and their transformation, theorizing that the song of the siren was bestowed upon the companions of Persephone as a tool with which to lure Persephone back from the darkness of the underworld. So beautiful, though, was the song that it would lure innocent sailors to their deaths, crashing their boats on the rocks beneath the very cliffs above which the sirens had perched. Right now, we stand in a world that has evolved massively over the some 3,000 years since the first murmurings about sirens, and the diversity of their tales has grown massively in myths and legends the world over in some form or another, whether it be as protagonists, antagonists, deviant murderesses, sexual fantasies, cursed souls, or an amalgamation of any of the previous and more. There are differing stories, but one thing that generally remains true, whether good or evil, or bird or fish, the song of the sirens remains the universal constant among all depictions. It's their signature move, you might say. Yes, in some cases they could breathe underwater, and yes, they could heal faster than Deadpool and continue to fly higher and faster than eagles. But the song of the siren is without a shadow of a doubt the most defining trait of the siren. It's a power not without weaknesses though. Odysseus foiled the siren's song by deafening his crew, but there is indeed another account of the siren's song being avoided. In the myth of Jason and the Argonauts, written by Apollonius of Rhodes in the 3rd century BC, the Argonauts encountered the sirens, but Orpheus, the Argonauts' musician, played his lyre even more beautifully, drowning out the siren's song and allowing them to pass safely. So defeating a siren in battle or surviving their presence is usually down to willpower or raw musical talent. I think we can all agree that if that is the case, this guy is At the same time though, could we not look at entertainment in the modern day and make the assertion that our favourite singers could be the descendants of sirens if they ever existed? But bear with me on this one. Assume for a second the sirens were real, and as in some depictions could shift into human form in order to blend in, then wouldn't the entertainment industry, or more accurately the music industry, be the greatest place to hide in plain sight? Think about it. In a modern society, death and killing are not the only way to gain power. In today's society, riches equals power. So they use their song to lure the people into buying expensive tour tickets, albums, merchandise, and screw this, I'm not beating around the bush anymore. Lady Gaga, admit it, I know what you are. I've seen past your poker face, and I shan't be fooled by you looking like a half bird on the Graham Norton show. People might think you're quirky, but 3 vodkas deep, I'm almost certain you've always been a half fish too. So show yourself, foul wench of the sea! Sorry about that. The one thing I find fascinating is the fact that while sirens are traditionally depicted as dangerous temptresses in Greek mythology, modern feminist interpretations and adaptations are exploring them as symbols of female power, self-determination, and reclaiming agency, rather than solely as victims of a patriarchal narrative. You don't have to look particularly far to find the evidence to support such an assertion. In a world in which history depicts a world shaped by men, the siren has stood for 2,500 years as a symbol of female strength. Often, sirens and mermaids are portrayed as the same creatures, but judging from Jess's research as well as a little of my own, there simply isn't enough evidence to conclusively agree with the premise. Also, sirens are not considered part of any kind of fairy grouping, while mermaids are generally considered to be within the races covered by the term fairy. Appearance-wise, generally the female sirens tend to have more variations in colours, but this makes a hell of a lot of sense when we consider that 90% of mythical sirens are described as being female. Even so, on the rare occasion of a male siren, the colours that they are perceived as being are much darker. Both are said to have mesmerising eyes, generally blues, greens or greys. Their skin, by some accounts, are a mixture of blues and greens when in water, but fascinatingly, by some accounts, they can change colour in almost chameleon-type fashion once on land to blend in with civilization. Do you suspect that one of your friends, family, neighbours, or political representatives may indeed be a siren? Well, today is your lucky day. Report them in the comments below, leave a like, subscribe and hit that notification bell, and tune in with us at Which Way 101 and await further instructions. So, are sirens bird-like creatures, or are they swimming beauties? Well, my friend, that's for you to decide. Perhaps sirens can morph into any of their three states? Who knows? All I know is that the 3,000-year history of these mythical creatures is a fascinating one. And with more and more modern depictions within the fantasy genre of books, movies, television and gaming, they still feature as a staple within our storytelling, and long may they continue to do so. If you enjoyed this video, then come join us next week for another Mythical Monday. If you've enjoyed the content so much that you'd like to support the channel, then please check the description below. Also, if you've liked the soothing sound of my voice, then I can be found on my gaming channel, Doghausen. The link will be in the description below. Do come say hi, it would be lovely to hear from you all. As for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around.
It's a mystery.